While we are highly trained professionals dealing in complex mathematical procedure, we do encourage you to try this at home because it will hopefully enhance your mathematical understanding. So welcome back to 1 Less Than 3 Math. We have 4 questions here for this 10 minutes, 10 marks video. If you would like to have a go at the questions, please pause the video now before I proceed with the solutions. So, question 1. We have a sector of a circle and we need to calculate A, the area, and B, the arc length. And you need to give each answer to 2 decimal places. So, part A. Everyone likes a good part A. We need to calculate the area. Now remember that a sector of a circle is a fraction of a circle and the area of a circle is pi r squared. Now the angle that we have there is 60 degrees, and that means that the 60 degrees is a fraction of 360 degrees. So what we can do is we can set up like this. We can say that our area of our sector is going to be 60 over 360 times pi r squared. Now the radius of this sector is 4, so we're going to do 1/6 times pi times 4 squared. Now the reason I've got 1/6 is because I've simplified 60 over 360. But if you were just putting it into the calculator, you could also type in 60 over 360 times by pi times by 4 squared. That's going to give you an answer of 8.3775. It's always worth looking back at the question at this point. It says 2 decimal places, so our answer for the area of this sector is going to be 8.38 meters squared, because 8.377 means that the second 7 is going to round up to 8, so we've got 8.38 meters squared. A similar strategy is used for the arc length, but the arc is part of the circumference of the circle. The circumference of a circle is pi d. We need to say, well, what's the diameter? If the radius is 4, the diameter is going to be 8. So we're going to set up like this. 60 over 360 times pi d equals 1/6 times pi times 8. 1/6 times pi d. And that equals 4.1887. Again, we're rounding to 2 decimal places. The second decimal place is 8. It's got an 8 after it, so it's going to be 4.19 meters. Question 2, we have a cylinder. We need to calculate the volume and the surface area, and we need to give each answer to 3 significant figures. So to find the volume of any prism, including cylinders, we need to find the area of the top and multiply it by the length of the shape. In this case, it's going to be pi r squared times by the height. So we're going to sub in the values that we have. Radius is 3, height is 10. So it's going to be pi times by 3 squared times by 10. Putting that into the calculator gives us 282.743338. To round that to 3 significant figures. The first significant figure is the 200, then the 8, then the 2. It's 0.7, so the unit 2 value is going to round up to 283 meters, and its volume, so it's meters cubed. To find the surface area, for cylinders, I always use my little memory trick, the surface area, because if you take the 3 faces of the cylinder, the 2 circles, top and bottom, and the curved surface area, which is actually a rectangle, if you unravel it. So there's my face, quite a high resemblance of my face, I must say. To find the surface area, we've got 2 circles, and they're going to be both 2 times pi r squared. Each one's pi r squared, so it's 2 times pi r squared together. So we're going to do 2 times pi times 3 squared. Obviously each circle would be pi r squared, so it would be pi times 3 squared. We've got 2 of them, so we're multiplying it by 2. Just move everything up a bit so we've got a bit more space. So working that out, I'm going to leave it in terms of pi, because when we work out the curved surface area, we leave that in terms of pi as well, and we're not messing around with decimals at this point. So 2 times 3 squared, that's 2 times 9, and that's 18 pi. So that's our answer in terms of pi for the top and the bottom. Now the curved surface area, it's basically the circumference of the circle. When you unroll it, the top measurement is going to be the circumference, which is pi d, and we're going to times that by the height. So it's going to be pi times diameter. Diameter is 6 because the radius is 3, and we're going to multiply that by 10. So that gives us 60 pi. We can add them together to get the full surface area. 18 add 60 is 78, so 18 pi add 60 pi is 78 pi. Then we can multiply on our calculator. We get 245.04, which is going to round to 3 significant figures, 245 meters squared. That would be our solution. Always check over your working out just to make sure you haven't made any calculating errors. It's a good idea when you're using your calculator to calculate things like this to do the calculation twice, just to check that they match. Question 3. The diagram shows a triangular prism. A. Find the height, h, of the prism. B. Calculate the volume. So, because it's a right-angled triangle, we can apply Pythagoras to find the height. So, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and we're going to label the hypotenuse c and the other two sides b and a. We're going to sub in the values that we have. So we have a squared plus 4 squared, b being 4, and c equals 5, so 5 squared. Work this out, show all of you working out. You've got a squared plus 16, 4 squared, equals 25, 5 squared. Need to subtract 16 from both sides, and that leaves us with a squared equals 9. So a is going to be the square root of 9, which is 3. So now we're going to move on part B, where we need to calculate the volume. Like with the cylinder, we find the area of the cross section. With the cylinder it was a circle, so we did pi r squared times by the length of the shape. Here it's a triangle, so we're going to do base times height divided by 2 times by the length of the shape. So subbing in the values, now that we know the height is 3, it's going to be 4 times 3, base times height divided by 2 multiplied by 6. That's 6 times 6, and that gives 36 meters cubed. So that would be the volume of the triangular prism. Base times height divided by 2 times by the length. Now question 4 is a linear graph, and it passes through the points 2 and 5 and 6 and 21. We need to work out A, the midpoint, and B, the equation in the form y equals mx plus c. So for part A, everybody likes a good part A. To find the midpoint, we need to add the x coordinates together and divide by 2. Similar to the mean, if you've got two numbers and you wanted to find the mean of them, you would add them together and divide by 2. We add the y coordinates together and also divide by 2. So you've always got your coordinates. X is across, y is up or down. It goes x and y within your coordinates. So we're going to add the x values together, that's 2 and 6, and divide by 2. We're going to add the y values together and divide by 2, so that's 5 add 21 divided by 2. 2 add 6 is 8. Divide that by 2. That's going to give you 4. 8 divided by 2 is 4. For the y coordinates, 5 add 21 is 26. Divided by 2 is 13. Now for part B, we need to find the equation of the line in the form y equals mx plus c. Now you can see there that the gradient m is calculated by doing the change in y divided by the change in x. So if we look at our y coordinates, the first point is 2 and 5, so the y coordinate is 5. The second y coordinate is 21, so the change in y is 16. 21 take away 5. The change in x, it goes from 2 to 6, so the change in x is 4, so the gradient can be calculated by doing 16 divided by 4, so the gradient of this graph is 4. So what we can do now is we can rewrite y equals mx plus c. We know what the gradient is, so we can write it as y equals 4x plus c. Now you can sub in any of these values, any of these coordinates, any pair, so 2 and 5, x and y, we could sub in. We could sub in x equals 6 and x equals 20 and y equals 21. But actually, I'm going to sub in the midpoint. So I'm going to sub in x equals 4 and y equals 13 into our equation. We've got three things we don't know, so this will enable us to find c, which is the intercept. That's where it cuts the y-axis. So subbing that in, I'm going to have y as 13, and 4x is 4 times 4. So now I've got an equation that I need to solve. So I'll just move things a little bit so I've got a bit of space. Oops, gone too far ahead there. So 13 equals 16, because 4 times 4 is 16, plus c. So I'm going to take away 16 from both sides. That's going to give me c equals minus 3. So that's my intercept. It would cut the y-axis at the coordinate 0, minus 3. But my equation is y equals 4x minus 3. So my solutions, I'll just highlight them in yellow so you can check your solutions if you had a go. So let's just do this now. All the solutions here are now in yellow. And I hope that's been a helpful tutorial. Hasta la pizza, arrivederci, so long, goodbye, ciao for now, au revoir, we'll see you next time.